Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Now in a previous video we talked about the box set Aether War, consisting of the Caradron Overlords and Disciples of Zinich. So what we did is we went ahead and painted the miniatures inside. Now what we wanted to talk about is what do we do next? So we've painted our armies, we've played all the adventures in the box set, but that's not the point. In our New Year, New Army, where do we go next? So the next thing you're going to do is buy a battle tome to go with each one of these armies. Now with the Caradron Overlords and the Disciples of Zinich, they're $40 a piece. So this is that point, do you decide, do I want to pursue both armies and make them bigger, or do I just go with one over the other? So if you're playing Age of Sigmar, you're going to have to get a battle tome, and every year you're going to have to get the General's Handbook, which updates the points models on this, just the way the game is played. Well, let's say you decided, aren't there other ways to play with these models? Yes, there are. And besides Age of Sigmar, there's also the often neglected Age of Sigmar Skirmish, Warcry, and Skies of Slaughter. So let's talk about if you want to do Age of Sigmar Skirmish. You want to be on the outside and do something rarely done. So let's talk about, you're going to need this issue of White Dwarf. The January 2019 issue of White Dwarf. So what that's going to do is, the rules for Age of Sigmar Skirmish are included. All these models can be used in Skirmish. You still will need the battle tome to calculate points if you get different units from what's here. Since the Aether War box already had points totals and descriptors for these, you can play Skirmish with just these models. But once again, once you get outside these range of models, you're going to need the battle tome and this book. You can play Age of Sigmar Skirmish, which I enjoy because of the individual control of the figures as you play a skirmish level battle game. Which brings us to Warcry, which is the more popular individually controlled model game. And what are you going to need to play that? Well, so you're going to need the cards that go with them. That's going to be $10 a pack right there. You're also going to need at least the basic rule book for $40. So let's say you decide to do both. You bought your book for $40, your 2 packs, you're $60 in. What can you play with? Because not all of these models can be used in Warcry. There are cards associated with each model you can play. So when you look at what's here on the Caradron, you can play with these models. All right, there's a card for each one of these and more. Now if you play the Disciples of Zinich on that side, only these 4 have cards that go with them. These 2, the wizard, the little creatures in the back here who I always forget their names, they don't have cards, they can't play. Now that's not really going to be an issue because a standard game of Warcry is at 1,000 points. So just using these 4 guys here brings you up to a 975 point army. Close enough to 1,000 to actually hit the board and play with your investment. Now with the Caradron, that's going to come out to 1,335 points, so you already have more than enough points to play. But once again, if you want to play something different, the cards, there are only cards for Zangors, for the Disciples of Zinich, and the Acolytes. For the Caradron, there's the Arcanaut Company and the Thunderers. So if you buy those miniature sets, hey, you're adding to your Skirmish, you're adding to your regular Age of Sigmar army. So that's actually a great way to start playing multiple games at once, depending on how you're feeling that day. So let's say you decide, you know what, I want to play just a game of flying creatures jousting in the sky. Well, Skies of Slaughter is the game for that. But you're going to need 2 issues of White Dwarf, the December 2019 and the January 2020 issues. However, the only model that can be used in that game is the Gun Hauler. And flying creatures in the Disciples of Zinich side are expensive and will probably run around $90 retail if you want to get into the Skies of Slaughter. So I'd say once you got Aether War, you can play Warcry, you can play Skirmish, you can start building your army for regular games of Age of Sigmar slowly, and even as you add on to that, you can pick units to enhance your games of Warcry and Skirmish. So that's where we're going to go forward. We're going to get some battle reports in, and we're going to start adding to our armies. Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. We'll see you next time.